Okay, CBC. I could take part in an interview like this, okay, and make it non-confrontational. But there are a lot of contradictions in what he said. Like he preaches good and collaboration and unity, but he also justifies what will be an ongoing issue unless it's addressed in these contradictions. For example, there are questions that I'd be writing down, and I'd be at maybe like 4 or 5, and they're relating to his contradictions during the interview, but I would only ask one, and then point out a whole bunch, and then write them down, but only ask one of the 5 next ones that would be based on contradictions. One of the things I'd ask is if he believes that Netanyahu, now or at the end of the war, if ever, should surrender himself to the International Criminal Court, because he's defending the government, right? And he's calling it the right to defend themselves. And he's saying that Palestinians are also God's children. So there's a lot of psychological contradictions in the beliefs and the responses of even Jews. So again, it's hard to believe that people that identify as Jews, even the ones that protest for the surrender of their loved ones from the attacks that are still hostages or dead bodies, you don't see them defend the rights equally of Palestinian children or children that are Jews. By the way, Palestinians children is a term that is more objective. Jewish children is not objective because they're not really born Jewish, right? They're indoctrinated into this ideology, so it's not the same. So what would we do if the United Nations decided, okay, no indoctrination in any religion to children of the world, because every child matters and we care about the next generation, until people are 25 years old, then they can, if they want, go for a religion of their family of origin or not. That would be like, let's say, like an Homo sapien species on the planet would do something like this. If some of them still have a tendency to go to the supernatural ideologies, and we were already Homo sapiens as a species, based on the definitions of sentience and sapience, that's what would be kind of a custom and a rule. And I'm not saying that kids can't choose before, but if there's signs that they were indoctrinated, like there is in pretty much every religion, that's abusive, right? Because you're disconnecting them from the reality of the natural world, which they require to learn a lot about starting at a young age, because of the problems that will be theirs to live with and try to mitigate. They can't solve them, it's too late, but they can mitigate because they'll live in them, based on magical or supernatural ideologies that have helped to create them, right? Inequalities. So one of the things that he said is, he's claiming that everybody is of these different faiths and they're kind of agreeing this, that. And if it's things like violence is wrong, that's great. But, every religion should take down their own people that go towards violence, right, as behaviors. They should say, well, that's not our faith. They should say that before things go on the news, right? And when October 7th went on the news, one of the reasons I wasn't in an emotional state to watch it is that I care. And also, it was very sensationalized in the news in an unfair way that I've never heard any media talk about, compared to what's been happening to Palestinian families and children since then, which we get very little of this kind of real raw data about, okay? And in fact, you see a lot of the same footage sometimes, even from Democracy Now!, that talks about things going on in Africa or Sudan, which is in Africa, and Gaza or the West Bank, and they have limited data to use, right? And the fact again that no foreign journalists are allowed, and the fact that he says we are defending ourselves without the aid of anybody. We have that right. But the thing is they are getting the aid. They're getting a lot of aid, and this aid also spreads the blame of genocide. So he could ask, what if there are even rabbis like you, or if he was a rabbi, that are discovered to have, played a part in this genocide or war crimes or human rights violations? Would you also want them to face the criminal court? And again, it's a way for religions to look at themselves more objectively and try to overcome their own contradictions in ways that, as CBC journalists and most journalists of the world who don't want to be seen as anti-Semite by asking good journalist questions would kind of avoid as well.